Welcome to Hopeful and Wholesome, the show where ambitious women come home to their bodies. I'm your host, Hope Pedraza, and I'm a functional practitioner, human design guide, and expert on all things energy, and your partner in decoding the language of your body. This is your space to reconnect with your body's wisdom, reclaim your energy, and rise into alignment in your health, your business, and your life. Because thriving isn't about pushing harder, it's about learning to listen deeper. So let's dive in because your next breakthrough starts right now. If your immune system feels depleted, your intuition maybe feels a little cloudy, and your body keeps short-circuiting under stress, your splenic center might be the missing piece. This is the part of your body that governs both your immune response and instinctual decision-making processes. And when your minerals are off, it can't do either. Today, we're talking about the splenic center and human design, your body's built-in radar for intuition and immunity, and how mineral imbalances and fear and overthinking are keeping it offline. Welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. And today's episode, I'm diving into another part of our series talking about human design centers and your mineral or your wellness. And today we're specifically talking about the splenic center, what it means for your intuition, for your immunity, and your relationship with safety in your own body. That's what the splenic center is all about. So this episode is for you if you feel like you can't hear your intuition clearly. Maybe your body always feels like it's a few steps behind your ambition. You're exhausted from second guessing yourself and battling low-level fear, chronic health stuff that just won't quit. That's what we're diving into today and how this all connects to your splenic center. So what is the splenic center? This is the oldest, most primal awareness center in the body. It's not about logic or emotions. It's about instinct. It's that in the moment, visceral knowing, that still small voice that is giving you that deep knowing. It's also really connected to your immune system, your lymphatic system, and your survival mechanisms. So when it's online and working well, you get this clear yes or no about something before your mind has time to debate the process, right? But when it's offline or imbalanced, you get stuck in confusion, chronic fear, or a body that just doesn't feel safe because it is that safety source. So let me give you some signs that your splenic center might be out of balance. It could be things like you override your gut instincts because your brain is just louder. You feel this low-level fear or anxiety that's hard to explain. You can't really trace it. You're constantly asking people for input, even though you know what feels right to you. I feel like that one probably resonates with a lot of y'all. Maybe you've dealt with recurrent infections, autoimmune flares, or you just don't feel resilient in your body. Maybe you're hyper aware of others' needs, but you feel really disconnected from your own. All of these are signs that this is a nervous system thing and a mineral thing. This isn't like a personality flaw. This is what's happening in your nervous system. So how do we tie in minerals with immunity? Here's the sciencey part of this that I'm going to get into. The spleen is the key immune organ. So it filters blood, recycles red blood cells, it helps regulate our immune response, but to do its job, it needs mineral reserves, just like every other part of the body. It requires minerals. Here's some key players for the center. First, there's zinc. Zinc is critical for immune function, helping clear viruses. And zinc deficiency is so common in burnout women or driven women who are dealing with burnout. It's such a common deficiency. And selenium is another one. Selenium protects against oxidative stress and supports our thyroid. It supports detox pathways. All my thyroid and Hashimoto girlies out there know that the selenium is a big one. And I preach to y'all about selenium all the time. This is one that we need a lot of when we're working with thyroid things going on. Sulfur is another one. Sulfur, you can get this from cruciferous veggies, from MSM and supplements, but it helps clear toxins, support the liver, your lymph. It keeps inflammation down. Iodine is another one, really important for our thyroid. It's tied to the flow of your lymph, right? Your lymphatic system, your thyroid, which I just said, your immune system and the integrity of your immune system. When you're depleted here, your body doesn't feel safe enough to trust your instincts. It's too busy fighting all the fires, which is why when your immune system is down, so is your intuition. There's a deep connection here between your intuition and your immune system, because it's not its priority, right? Its priority, like I said, it's fighting all the other fires that are going on in the body. So if you've been in survival mode. You feel like you've been in survival mode, especially if you've ignored your body's messages for years. Your spleen doesn't trust you either, right? That trust has to be rebuilt. You've got to build that trust back. So energetically, an imbalanced splenic center says, I don't feel safe in my own body. So I overgive, I overthink, I overextend to survive. That's the survival mechanism. It's not just about minerals, though, I love a good HTMA, but it's about reminding your body that you're listening now. We have to retrain it and know that, okay, I'm listening now. Like we have to rebuild that it's like, rebuilding a muscle after you've lost strength there. We have to rebuild that trust back in the body. So I have some tools for you here to kind of recalibrate your splenic center. Let's talk about the strategy part of this. Here's what I recommend. If you feel like this is hitting home, you're feeling like if you've been dealing with, like I said, a lot of immune things going on in your body, you feel like you're just kind of disconnected. I find a lot of times too, my clients feel like I don't hear my intuition. Like I just don't hear it. There's a good sign that there's something going on. Your body is trying to work on something else versus helping you connect to your intuition. So strategies here. First of all, I think you might know what I'm going to say here. We're going to test, don't guess. And HTMA is always my first recommendation to get clarity on your mineral status. You don't know what you don't know. And yes, we can guess. Yes, we can just go get a multivitamin or vitamin or multi-mineral, and we can get the zinc and the selenium and the iodine, all the things I was just saying. But you don't know what you don't know. And to know your mineral status and to know exactly what's going on in your body, to know what ratios are off. This isn't like a fear-mongering thing, but I have had clients before where they're trying to do this on their own, and now they've caused other imbalances because they thought it was this thing and then it was this other thing, or they did too much of this thing and then it threw off this other thing. So to really know, you just do an HTMA, right? You do the test. If you're depleted, your intuition might be buried under all of this biochemical noise going on under the surface. So just test, don't guess, right? And then we start to rebuild trust in the body. Pay attention to that first hit you feel when making decisions. Like that's how we start retraining it. Rather than going up into the mind and letting it roll around in the mind, pay attention to that first hit you feel making decisions. Build that trust back so you can recognize that little still small voice that's your intuition giving you the yes or no. Also, practice saying no faster, especially to things that feel contracting in your body. You know what a no feels like in your body. I tell my clients this all the time, especially those that are like, oh, I just don't know if I hear my intuition. No, you do. But a lot of times we're just overriding it. We know what a no feels like in our body. A yes feels light and uplifting. It feels expansive. It feels like an inhale, right? The no feels contracting, restrictive, heavy, like that's what it feels like in the body. We can train ourselves to feel that, then you're going to be able to say no faster and be able to hear and listen to your intuition. And then the other thing I want to say is create rituals around safety. And what I mean by that is things that help tell your body that you're in a safe environment. These are things like grounding, breath work, meditation, walking barefoot, a lymphatic drainage. All of these things are telling your body that it's safe, that you're in a safe space. The other thing I want to mention this is a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like it's important to say here. It's coming forward, so I'm going to say it. So I'll put it in the show notes, but I've been doing this. There's a book, I posted this on Instagram. There's a book called The Book of Shadow Work, and by this gal, Kayla, she wrote the book. And then there's also an accompanying journal. I have been loving the journal. And one of the practices I've been really like, I've done so many self-development books and so many of these healing books, but this one I've just been really extra intentional with. I'm just feeling I'm in a place where I just want to be really intentional with all the things that I'm doing and not do anything halfway. And anyway, one of the practices in the book is mirror gazing and mirror work. And if you don't know what that is, essentially, there's kind of two parts of it. Essentially, you're sitting in front of a mirror. Some of the practices are saying affirmations out loud, but you're making eye contact with yourself. You're looking at yourself in the mirror while you say these affirmations. And then the other she calls mirror gazing. And it sounds weird, and I'm not going to lie, it is weird. The first, maybe, I don't know, it depends where you are. It might be the first handful of times you do it, or maybe just for me, it was just the first couple minutes. And once I got into it, it's like, okay. But mirror gazing, you're sitting down in front of a mirror, looking at yourself, making eye contact with yourself. And you just sit there. and you sit there trying not to look away, looking at yourself, making eye contact. And it's a lot harder than you think because A, it feels weird, and B, you start to see yourself in just a totally different way. I don't even really know how to explain it, but you see yourself in this different light and all these things start coming forward. Like she listed some things that might come up for you because a lot of people start to feel things like disgust and they want to turn away. And but then you start to talk to this version of it's not a version of you, it is you. You're talking to yourself. You're talking to yourself like you're talking to the shadow part. And it makes more sense when you go through the first part because she talks about the shadow part. Anyway, you're having conversation with yourself. But the whole point, there's multiple layers to this, but one of the reasons for all this is to build safety in the body. That's one of the reasons here. It's to create safety in the nervous system in the body, to be able to look at yourself, making eye contact with yourself, having this conversation with yourself. And the first time that I did it, I'd gone through some of the affirmations because she has these lists of affirmations and, say and repeat them. And I could feel myself starting to get emotional with some of the specific ones. And I made notes of which specific ones were like bringing emotions up. And then I did the mirror gazing part and started having this conversation. And it was just like this levee just got broken and all these emotions. I mean, it was crazy, but it really did. And that's the after. She has you journal about it after. It really does cultivate so much safety in the body, being able to talk to that part of you. I've talked about parts work a couple times here, I think, on the show, but it is all about safety. So I know that was a long tangent I just went on, but I wanted to bring that into this. So we're talking about rituals about safety because this one has been so potent for me. And I can't recommend it enough. And like I said, it feels weird. It sounds weird. It feels weird. It's not, I want to say it's not normal. I guess it's probably not. It's probably not normal to sit in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself. But it is really honestly been one of the most profound things that I've done in this, like in my own personal healing journey in a while. So I wanted to mention that one here. So going back to what I was saying, listing them out, I mentioned, so we're talking about rituals for safety. And again, remember, it's just about teaching the body that you're safe. That's it. That's literally it. You just want to teach the body that you're safe. When your body feels that it's safe, you kind of break through that barrier between that part of you and your intuition. So your intuition can start coming through more clearly. And on the other side of that is also when you're teaching your body that it's safe, your body can also heal. So we're cultivating that safety so that our body feels safe to heal. And we're reconnecting the connection. Yeah. To your intuition. So things like grounding, breath work, I said walking barefoot, working on your lymphatic system. Mirror work is a really good one, and I wanted to mention that one there. So moving on, the other thing here, if we're talking about strategies, is supporting your immune system. Adding zinc-rich foods. Remember, I said zinc was really common for women to be deficient in, especially really high-performing women. Add zinc-rich foods or adding low-dose zinc supplements. If you're going to supplement, I would never recommend doing more unless you've done an HTMA with me or somebody and you know what your levels are. I would never supplement with more than like 10 or 15 milligrams because taking too much zinc for too long can throw off your copper, and zinc and copper have a really specific relationship, and too much copper and copper imbalance causes a whole other slew of problems. So anyway, if you're going to supplement, you're not supplementing with it with high doses for a long time. But if you are going to supplement, 10 to 15 milligrams is probably all that you need. Or if you have a multivitamin and it's included in the multivitamin, then that works too. Sulfur is another one. Sulfur-rich foods, things like cruciferous veggies, garlic, onions, all these are really high in sulfur. And then gentle lymph flow practices. We want to help our lymphatic system. Things like rebounding, moving your body. Remember, your lymph doesn't have a pump like your heart does. So you have to move to get it to flow. So rebounding is a really great way. Just exercising in general, dry brushing, all of these are good for lymphatic flow or lymph flow. And then boundaries. I'm going to talk about boundaries here for a sec because energetic boundaries are really your best friend. If you have an undefined spleen, so if you look at your chart, and I should have said this at the beginning, if you're looking at your human design chart, if you're watching this, I don't know if I'm mirroring you, if you're watching the video, but if you look at your human design chart, it's going to be on the left. It's the little triangle, like a sideways triangle on the left side of your body. So undefined means that it's white. It's not colored in. Defined means that it's colored in. It's filled in with the color. So if you're an undefined spleen, you might be absorbing everybody else's fears. And so it's about learning to distinguish your fears from theirs, right? What am I picking up that's not mine? When you have a defined spleen, you typically have this deeper connection. I don't want to say deeper connection, more consistent connection with what's correct for you in terms of wellness, your intuition, right? So what happens when your spleen is aligned? Here's the magic. When your splenic center is aligned, you feel clear, you feel intuitive, you feel grounded in that real time knowing, just that deep knowing. You make aligned decisions fast without spiraling into fear and all the what ifs. And if you look at your splenic center, the different gates, and I'll save this for a different conversation. But if you look at your gates, the gates filled in, those are the fears that could come up for you. Actually, let me just go through the fears. I'll go through the fears. So if you look at your human design chart and you're looking at your splenic center, the gates are the little circles that are colored in. They're filled in with a color. Usually they're black. And if whichever ones are filled in, these are typically the fears that are going to be more prominent for you and probably something that's going to come up over and over and over again for you and things that you have to work through. But especially in times of fear and doubting your intuition, these are typically the fears that are going to present themselves. So if you have gate 48 filled in, colored in, this is the fear of inadequacy and not having enough depth. On the other side of this fear is the opposite of that. It's depth. It's this potential for mastery when you decide to push through the fear and have the courage to take the first step. If you have gate 57 filled in, gate 57 is the fear of the future and of the unknown. And so the other side of this is this intuitive sense that everything that's happening in the present moment is going to help you navigate the unknown and move through the uncertainty that you might be feeling about the road that you're on. It's that deep knowing. If you have gate 44 defined, this is the fear that your past is going to catch up to you and that you're going to repeat past mistakes. On the other side of this fear is the ability to spot patterns from the past so that you don't have to repeat it, right? That you can recognize the patterns and see the wisdom from these and not repeat past mistakes. If you have gate 50 filled in, colored in, this is the fear of taking on too much responsibility. And on the other side of this is this intuitive knowing and discernment around what are the right responsibilities, the right commitments for you to take on, having that discernment. If you have gate 32 filled in, this is the fear of failure. I know I have this one filled in on mine, the fear of failure. And on the other side of this is this instinctual knowing that what will sustainably work and what may not work. So you basically have this nose for success and failure, knowing what will work and what won't work. And knowing this knowing that you have the capability and the wherewithal to be able to get there, right? If you have gate 28 filled in, this is the fear of not finding your purpose or something worth fighting for. On the other side of this is this knowing for what is actually worth fighting for, knowing what's worth the fight and what risks are actually worth taking. You have that instinctual knowing. And then the last one is gate 18. If you have that one filled in, this is the fear of authority or challenging authority. On the other side of that is this instinct for knowing what can be fixed and made better in the world around you. So you're letting go of that fear of authority because you have that instinctual knowing. So I think that might help you with just understanding the fears, because that's when you are disconnected from your intuition, from that splenic center, from that splenic energy. And I'm talking about making aligned decisions faster without spiraling into fear. Those are the fears that are going to come up for you. And if you have multiple ones defined, like you have multiple gates defined that I just listed out, then you're going to have a lot coming up for you, most likely. Now, I'm not saying every single time, because like I said, I wanted to say what's on the other side of that fear for a reason, because a lot of times we can work through these and the fear might be like a softer voice rather than something loud screaming at you, right? When you've been able to work through a lot of these. But you're able to maybe recognize the fears and move past them faster, and maybe have a conversation with those parts where you're like, no, like it's okay. I got it. You're going to feel more resilient. You're going to be able to recover quicker, and your body stops whispering, I'm not okay, because it finally feels safe again. Remember, this is your source of safety comes from your splenic center. So it's fear versus safety, right? This is the opposite. So, and that safety is what makes you magnetic as a human being. And especially if you have a business, if you're career driven, like that's what makes you magnetic is that safety and you feeling safe in your body and you feeling safe to trust your intuition. So I hope this has been enlightening for you and understanding your intuition, how it works, how it's connected with your physical body, how we can support the Splenic Center. If you've been agreeing and nodding through this episode or like, okay, yeah, this is resonating, tell me what I need to do about this. There's a totally free resource that I have to help you figure out exactly where your energy is leaking mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's the Energy Leak Locator Quiz. It's designed to help you pinpoint the patterns or stressors or imbalances that are pulling your energy down. The goal here is just to be able to reclaim your power and lead from overflow and not from depletion. When we know where the leaks are, we can lead from overflow. So you can go to the link down in the show notes and download it and take it. It's super quick. It's super easy. And it really can be enlightening as after you take the quiz, I'll send you a little repair kit, if you will, to help you understand how you can fix the leaks and patch up the leaks. So I want to leave you with this, that your intuition is there. I don't want you to ever feel like you are so disconnected that you're like, there's no way my intuition is gone. It's there. And if you feel disconnected from your intuition or you feel like you're leading from a place of fear, like everything you do, you're leading from a place of fear, it's a good indication that you're disconnected from your splenic center. We want to restore the energy that's designed to flow through there. And this is just a sign that your body is begging to feel safe again. Your body just wants to feel safe. And that's the thing. We can get, I know there can be a lot of frustration and judgment and even anger and resentment and all these other emotions come up around what our physical body, even physical body, what our bodies, our mental, emotional, physical body does to us. So we feel in the moment that it's doing it to us. Like, why is somebody doing this? Why is it? But the fact is, your body's just doing what it feels like it needs to do or what it's designed to do to keep you safe. That's it. And a lot of times that's malfunctioning other parts of the body. It's just taking energy from one body so it could put it towards this other place to keep it safe. And that's all it's doing. And if you feel like you're leading from a place of fear, then you're listening or watching this episode for a reason. And it's time for you to rebuild that connection with your splenic center and repair the energy that's leaking from that center and reconnect with that part of yourself and reconnect with that intuitive part and that part that allows you to build the immune system that keeps you healthy and safe and well. So this is your sign. I hope this is helpful. Go take a look at your chart and re-listen again, because I also think that listening to those fears and your defined gates will bring forward a lot for you and probably connect some dots. And those are just points, aspects for you to revisit time and time again and learn from. Like these are the areas, the opportunities for wisdom. That's what I'm going to say, that these are opportunities for wisdom. And so you're going to see these come up over and over and over again because you're designed that way. But these are also points for you to grow and evolve from those places. So I challenge you there also, go back to rewind if you need to and listen to those fears and take note of those. I think it's going to be really eye-opening for y'all. So that is it for this episode. I'll see you next time, where we'll talk about another center. I think next time is it's either the G center or the throat center, but I have both, so you'll find out. But another soul charged, science-packed episode where we're going to put together the energy and the science as always. And I will see you next time.